5, 4, 3.
Live from the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Monday, November 15th. We have all you need to know about Center County's mask mandate, as well as a food distribution event in downtown State College.
We also have more on a lawsuit involving an immigrant detention center, along with entertainment, sports, and weather.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Carlos Garcia.
And I'm Marissa Yackenchick. A civil rights organization withdrew its lawsuit that challenged whether a former private federal prison in Clearfield County could reopen as a major immigrant detention center. The American Civil Liberties Union of Pennsylvania accused the county commissioners of violating state law by signing the contracts without offering the public an opportunity to weigh in. As a result, county officials met to reaffirm the 5-year contracts with the GEO Group and the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. ACLU immigrant rights attorney Vanessa Stein said in a statement that, quote, immigration detention is incredibly problematic and dehumanizing, end quote. In that quote, such a big decision should have involved robust community engagement, end quote. The proposed facility has nearly 1,900 beds and would be the largest immigrant detention center in the Northeast. The pact is worth upward of $170 million in operating costs alone, according to a copy of the contract obtained by the Center Daily Times. Repurposing the former Moshannon Valley Correctional Center that sits less than 5 miles from the Phillipsburg could bring upward of 300 jobs to the region. The GEO Group is a top taxpayer in the Phillipsburg Osceola Area School District. The facility was expected to open by mid to late November. It was not immediately clear if the lawsuit delayed the faculty's opening.
An order by Pennsylvania's acting health secretary that requires masks inside K-12 schools and childcare facilities was thrown out by a state court Wednesday. Center County students will continue to wear masks while the decision is appealed. The Commonwealth Court ruled that Acting Health Secretary Allison Beam's mandate did not comply with the state's laws about reviewing and approving regulations. The mandate was also adopted without an existing disaster emergency declared by the governor, prompting Tom Wolf's administration to file an immediate appeal, which put the decision on hold. Last week, Wolf announced he would return authority over masking decisions to local school districts on January 17, 2022.
State College Borough and the Downtown State College Improvement District are once again partnering to offer free holiday season parking. Downtown State College businesses will offer free 4-hour parking validations to customers from November 22nd to January 2nd for the Beaver, Fraser, and Pew garages. The borough will allow free street and surface lot parking with a 3-hour time limit. Unlimited garage parking will be free from December 22nd to January 2nd. The holiday parking program was unanimously approved at a borough council meeting last week.
Free food distribution will take place on Friday, November 19th in downtown State College. The distribution, hosted by Penn State Student Anti-Hunger Club and the YMCA of Center County's Anti-Hunger Program, will take place from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Grace Lutheran Church located at the 205 South Garner Street. The event is open to all Penn State students and community members. In addition to this event, the YMCA of Center County will be hosting a Thanksgiving Blessings in a Box distribution. As Thanksgiving approaches, 250 boxes of food will be distributed to families on November 22nd and 23rd at any YMCA of the Center County branch. Veterans Day ceremonies took place across the nation last Thursday. Reporter Olivia Osnemer visited some of the events involved in Penn State's Military Appreciation Week in honor of Veterans Day. Take a look.
Instead of honoring those who served our country for only one day, Penn State hosts an annual Military Appreciation Week. The annual Military Appreciation Week consists of several events that the Penn State Veterans Organization helped plan, including a veterans ceremony which took place on Veterans Day. I caught up with the president of the Penn State University Veterans Organization, Kyle Larson, who hosted the ceremony.
Really what I wanted people to get out of this ceremony is just to take a second to reflect and think about the sacrifices that the men and women of the armed services have made, and then continue to live your life and do justice to those sacrifices, and whatever that may be, and whatever profession you are, or whatever you do, and whatever type of passion you have, and just show that appreciation for that sacrifice.
Kyle Larson spoke at the event alongside multiple other speakers who commemorated those who have served. The ceremony was a special day for many people, including Jacqueline Kana, a member of the Penn State Army ROTC.
I served in the Army Reserve for 12 years, so I'm a veteran myself, and I deployed to Iraq. And with that being said, I really enjoyed this ceremony because it brought all the branches together. The sense of camaraderie that I found there, I find here at Penn State, and I like that Captain Oliver mentioned that in his speech.
Some of the other events that Penn State hosts for Military Appreciation Week include a yoga class for trauma, a Veterans Resource Fair, a student veteran resume workshop, and a military appreciation football, hockey, and basketball game. The Penn State University Veterans Organization put on a memorable event that honored those who have served for our country. Many students, faculty, and veterans attended the event. The weather provided a great outdoor environment for the ceremony at Old Main. To the veterans, thank you so much for your service and sacrifice. I'm Olivia Osthamer, Penn State Network News.
Snow has officially reached State College for the season. Chris Lemo has this week's weather report after the break.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I've just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Thanks, Carlos. Well, we don't think we'll see too much in the way of snow this week, but again, we'll keep the cold temperatures tonight and through the early part of this week. Now, right now, it looks like we're going to see 35-degree temperature tonight, partial cloud coverage, not too bad compared to how cold we've had it the last couple nights. Now, looking ahead to tomorrow, we're going to see much in the way of the same thing here, starting off in the low 30s, around 35 degrees, partly cloudy for your morning commute around 9 a.m. Now, around noon tomorrow, 41 degrees. It's not going to be our high. We'll get a little bit warmer than that around 2 or 3 o'clock. But then, as you can see, overnight we'll drop down around 40 degrees, partly cloudy as we get into the evening rush time around 5 o'clock. Now, looking ahead to next weekend, we're going to see a little bit in the way of a mixed bag over the weekend. So we're going to see intervals of clouds and sun on Friday, right behind that cold front that comes through Thursday night. That's going to be the big weather story this week. Now, dry and chilly on Saturday for the game. That's the good news. Shouldn't be as bad as we had this week with the wind and cold and even a little bit of snow during the game on Saturday against Michigan. Now, a slight chance of rain on Sunday, and you can see the temperatures will be rising throughout the weekend. So that'll be the good news for the weekend here. But I do think as we get into Thanksgiving week, temperatures will crash once again. Now, taking a look at the 7-day forecast here, it's going to start off cold. Temperatures 41 today, 46 tomorrow. And then you can see Wednesday, Thursday. That's when we start warming up well above average into the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. A little bit of rain Thursday night into Friday morning. Again, that's our big story. And then temperatures plummet nearly 20 degrees behind that as we get into Friday, 41. For the weekend, not too bad for the game. Maybe some clouds, but it'll be dry and 44. And then on Sunday, as a lot of people head home for Thanksgiving, maybe another shot of rain. But the weekend looks good for some football. And speaking of football, Mike Marandino has the latest on all things Penn State sports coming up next.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised.
Thank you. Thank you.
Practice makes perfect. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia? Let's do it. What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%.
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up? We finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on...
Was it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Mike Marandino with your sports update. Penn State men's basketball opened its highly anticipated 2021-22 campaign with a 75-59 win over Youngstown State on Wednesday evening at the Bryce Jordan Center. Junior Seth Lundy led all players with a game-high 23 points on 9 for 15 shooting and 3 for 5 from beyond the three-point arc. Senior Sam Sessoms added 17 points, with 14 coming in the second half, to go along with 5 rebounds and a team-high 8 assists. Fifth-year senior John Hara registered his 7th career double-double, with 16 points and a tied career best 14 rebounds. This game marked the first win under new head coach Micah Shrewsbury. The team plays Monday, November 15th at UMass Amherst, tipping off at 7 p.m., and they return back home to the BJC this Thursday as they take on the Brooklyn St. Francis Terriers at 7 p.m. The now number 1 ranked Michigan Wolverines scored 3 unanswered goals to close out the second period, en route to a 6-2 victory over the now unranked Penn State Nittany Lions in Big Ten play on Friday evening at Pagula Ice Arena. Penn State falls to 6-5-0 on the year and 0-4-0 in the Big Ten, adding the 2 losses from the past weekend. The Wolverines improved to 10-2-0 on the year and 5-1-0 in Big Ten matchups. Goalie Liam Soulier falls to 2-2-0 on the year after stopping 27 shots in the loss, while his counterpart, Michigan's Eric Portillo, moves to 10-2-0 on the season, following his performance with 35 saves. Penn State hits the road for 4 games in 6 days as they travel to Minneapolis to battle Minnesota next Friday and Saturday, followed by a short trip to St. Paul for the first ever meetings against St. Thomas on Tuesday and Wednesday. Odell Beckham Jr. signed a 1-year contract with the Los Angeles Rams after he cleared waivers following his release by the Cleveland Browns last Monday. Beckham's addition has taken on greater importance in the wake of Saturday's news that wide receiver Robert Woods will miss the remainder of the season after suffering a torn ACL during Friday's practice. He also participated in his first practice with the Rams on Saturday, and after the workout, he told reporters that his decision to sign with them, quote, just felt right. He joins the NFL's 3rd-ranked offense with the Rams scoring an average of 28 points per game, behind quarterback Matthew Stafford's 23 passing touchdowns. The Rams are 7-2 and are in pursuit of a trip to Super Bowl 56 at owner Stan Kroenke's $5 billion SoFi Stadium on February 13th. That's all for sports. When we come back, Juliana Turdo will bring you the latest in the world of entertainment.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised.
Practice makes perfect. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I've just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia? Let's do it. What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%.
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Juliana Tordo with your entertainment update. On Wednesday, November 10th, the Penn State community celebrated the countdown to 100 days until dawn. With the hub takeover, different organizations danced and performed, all for the kids. In addition to the main event, there were hair donations, food, and music. It was an in-person event that also had a live stream provided by 46 Live for those who could not make it in person. All of it was to commemorate and anticipate Thon Weekend, which will take place February 18th through the 20th. The Thon Dream Forward campaign has already raised $1,055,836 and continues to grow this number in the following months leading up to Thon Weekend. Penn State Student Programming Association hosted a lecture with kidnapping survivor and best-selling author Elizabeth Smart. Reporter Paloma Frount has details on the event.
I'm Paloma Friend with Penn State Network News, and tonight I am outside Alumni Hall in the Hub Robinson Center, where in just a few minutes, Penn State's SPA will be hosting kidnapping survivor Elizabeth Smart. She will hold a Q&A lecture on overcoming adversity regarding sexual assault and kidnapping.
Dozens stood in line waiting to meet the inspirational speaker and get a chance to ask her some questions.
So I think it's really important for students to really hear a real story and how Elizabeth overcame the challenges of being abducted. And I feel it's a sensitive topic that not everyone's really comfortable listening to and also talking about with other people, which I think is really important to let victims and everyone know that it's okay to speak up and tell their story.
I was gonna ask her if she had, any message for girls, women, moms in a relationship right now that they think that if they were to say something to someone else, they would be in trouble. And if there's any possible way that they could get help.
I knew about her and wanted to come see her because she's always been an inspiration, because I find it incredible that she's been able to move on from such a traumatic event with such good spirit.
I'm wondering how long it took her to get back to everyday life after the incident.
In 2002, Smart was abducted in her home at the age of 14 and held captive by Brian Mitchell and his wife, Wanda Barzee. For 9 months, she was repeatedly raped, drugged, and forced to endure religious rituals. After she was found in 2003, Smart made it her goal to return to a normal life. She has since launched the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, become a correspondent for ABC News, reporting on missing person and child abduction cases, released a memoir, and started a family.
Elizabeth Smart emphasized that as people, we all face hardships, but we must remember how strong we are, our spirit's resilience, and that nobody can take away our worth. This Tuesday night, I'm Paloma Friend with Penn State Network News.
There's a new restaurant hitting downtown State College. Mezza Mediterranean Grill is coming soon and will be opening on East Calder Way in the Maxon building near Al Jefe's. It will provide students with a variety of Mediterranean cuisine from shawarma to hummus. It's a chain restaurant that already has prior locations, but this will be only its second in Pennsylvania. This past Friday, November 12th, Taylor Swift released her re-recording of her 2012 album, Red. This is the second album of 6 that will be remade, and that also includes extra never-before-heard-seen songs from the vault due to the selling of her masters in 2019 to Scooter Braun. In addition to the album, Swift released a short film to the new 10-minute version of the song, All Too Well, that stars Dylan O'Brien and Sadie Sink. The album has been a huge success so far and already has broken the record for the most streamed album in a day by a female artist. Swift also broke the record for the most streamed female artist in a day in Spotify history. That's all for your entertainment update. Coming up next, interview anchor Rachel Suga will be speaking to World in Conversation facilitator JJ Wong. Stay tuned.
Wow, These are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%.
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
So good to see you guys. So what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Was it good? Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Standing there when you're telling me to wrap up. Thank you so much. I just can't see you.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
Hi, my name is
got a
Rachel
pizza
Suga.
for a
Welcome
Todd.
back to PSN
Hey,
News.
can somebody spot
I'm
me?
Rachel Suga.
When it
and
comes
today
to
I have
financial
the
stability,
pleasure-
don't get left
Should I keep
behind.
going?
It's
All right.
547.
Do I speak at regular volume?
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
Hi,
7
my name is
no-hitters in
JJ. I'm a
1990.
sophomore here.
Wow, that's
My
right.
major is
Now a
journalism,
question that's not trivial.
Chinese.
How many children
My
will
minor is
witness bullying
sociology.
this year?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%.
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
So good to see you guys. So what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Was it good? Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Rachel Suga, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to JJ Wong, a facilitator for Penn State's World in Conversation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and also what is World in Conversation?
So I'm currently a sophomore here at Penn State. It was kind of funny on how I got started with it. I actually ended up with being in one of the comm classes. And from there, I kind of just got asked to be a part of it by becoming a facilitator. And from there, it just kind of like went on. And now I'm kind of in the foundations class. And hopefully next semester, I end up being on the advanced team.
That's really exciting. Good for you. Moving up in the ladders and stuff. And so what made you want to pursue it past your class beyond just what they're asking you to do to fulfill the syllabus or anything like that?
I think it's just the fact that it's such a unique opportunity for me because it's such a different idea of sociology instead of psychology, and because of that, it's just something that I'm like actually invested in. I actually enjoy doing it because it's more like out of class experience, and because of that, you get like a little bit of like a hands-on thing, and because of that, it's like I'm really grateful and I really enjoy it.
I totally understand that. And so for those who haven't actually been to a World in Conversation, could you explain briefly just kind of like what that entails, like just a regular session where you're in a conversation?
Yeah, so it's about like 10 to 12 people on how like from local participants or global participants from Brazil, Saudi Arabia, or other countries that we have around the world. And we would just have a little 90-minute conversation about topics of social issues, economies, you name it, and just like a little like talk where it's like as neutral as possible. And it's just a really good opportunity that I really am happy to be a part of, just because it's such like an international thing, despite it like being a very unique thing that Penn State offers here.
I entirely agree. I've actually done one myself. Multiple actually, because some classes are, they'll ask you, hey, can you do 5 in a semester? Can you do X amount? I got a lot out of it personally. What do you feel is like the importance of a World in Conversation that needs to happen, that people need to go through?
I honestly think the biggest thing is the fact that it's such like a space on how you're able to just conversate freely, where it's not really any like bias or it's not really any like judgment in any way. And because of that, it just creates this space that like is very unique and very like special, especially in the world we live in right now. And it's just so nice to be able to like just sit and have a talk with people, with 2 facilitators, me being one of them, and being able to just like have a conversation that doesn't involve like any like hate in any way, where like no one's feelings get hurt in the end or things like that.
Well, that's really good that that has stayed fairly neutral in a way. Have you experienced any bad experiences or things that, you know, tough conversations that you had to facilitate?
There's definitely tough conversations. It's just because the world that we live in, there's so many different topics that you could talk about, whether it being gender identity, politics, you name it. So it's kind of just like, I tried my best to stay neutral, and according to my professors, they think I'm doing a pretty good job, and that's pretty good for me. But like, you know, I'm still learning since I am at that foundations level. So there's still like tons of things for me to learn, whether it being like, well, basically just trying to stay as unbiased as possible since I am a facilitator. But like, it's a great opportunity, and honestly, it's a lot of fun in every way.
That's really exciting. I'm glad that you found your little niche in Penn State. And so there is a lot of intersectionality that I've noticed just all throughout, well, Penn State as a whole, obviously, and also World in Conversation. Have you had any conversations about that? Has that come up a lot? And how do you guys address that?
I think it's kind of interesting since we do have that international student perspective, because we do have kids that aren't enrolled in Penn State, but they are kids that are enrolled in other schools around the country, around the world, not country, my bad. And it's just like, it's really interesting because you get that perspective of like their lives and what they're doing, but then also you get the perspective of students at Penn State that are also international students. Where like, there was actually this one facilitation that I was in where we had one student here who is from Brazil. And then we had a world conversation where it was people that were also from Brazil. And because of that, it was just such a lovely experience to be able to see them and like collaborate in a way where like, you can't really get in this world as much, just because like the facilitation allowed us to be able to like actually run as smoothly as possible. And thus it like created a space that was like equal and friendly to all.
I totally agree. And in general life, we can't exactly have bold conversations about race and gender and sexuality and things like that, because a lot of people aren't prepared for that yet. Whether it's a generational issue, it's an education issue, an array of possibilities. Do you think that this is possibly a step forward? Is Penn State, you know, should they slide it over the desk to other schools, other universities?
I'm honestly not quite sure, and I don't really think I have a say in that. But honestly, if I were to decide, I would definitely think so, just because it's such a great opportunity for people to actually like have a full conversation where it's literally called World in Conversations, where we just have conversations with people from around the world, you name it, and things like that. And it's just a really great opportunity that you can really just like fully be who you want to be and fully just have a conversation without anyone being told, oh, you can't say that, or oh, this is not right. But then even if there are some cases where like you say something that ends up being offensive, there's always a facilitator there to help you out, or always there's someone else there to back you up in a way where like your feelings aren't particularly hurt in any way, because it's such such a welcoming like environment.
Yeah, I think that definitely needs to happen in order for people to actually feel comfortable talking about themselves. I mean, just randomly, you're walking into a room filled with strangers and telling them about your life for no reason, you know? So it's definitely a bold thing to do. And I am very excited that we are doing this, that this is a thing that is in the world. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. And after the break, we will bring you the latest news from across the nation.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%.
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
So good to see you guys. So what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place. Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on... Was it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
All right, you ready for...
A federal appeals court Thursday temporarily blocked the National Archives from transferring records from the Trump White House to congressional investigators looking into the January 6th attacks on the U.S. Capitol. The decision followed a last-ditch appeal that former President Donald Trump's legal team filed earlier Thursday, seeking to block the transfer of the documents by the Friday deadline set by the House January 6th committee. A 3-judge panel of the appeals court is scheduled to hear oral arguments in the case on November 30th. Judge Tanya S. Chutkin of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia sided with the House committee. Chutkan said that Trump's claim of executive privilege is overruled by President Joe Biden's belief that withholding the documents isn't in the nation's best interest. A day after her ruling, Trump's legal team requested Chutkan issue an emergency injunction to stop the documents, but was denied.
Pennsylvania Republican and Senate hopeful Sean Parnell has been threatened to append his candidacy after abuse allegations surfaced this month. The decorated former Army Ranger who launched his Senate bid in May and received the endorsement of former President Donald Trump has become the early frontrunner for the seat, but accusations of domestic violence exploded into public view during custody hearings in state family court. Seeking primary custody of the couple's children in divorce proceedings, Parnell's estranged wife, Lori Snell, testified under oath before a judge about abuse she says she and occasionally their children endured. Parnell took the stand last week to forcefully deny the claims.
American gymnast Suni Lee said that she was pepper sprayed in a racist incident while in Los Angeles. The Olympic gold medal winner was waiting for a ride after a night out with a group of girlfriends who were all of Asian descent when the incident occurred. A car drove by and the people in it shouted racist slurs before one passenger sprayed Lee in the arm. Attacks against Asian Americans have skyrocketed during the pandemic. A coalition that tracks racism and discrimination against Asian Americans said that there were at least 4,533 incidents reported in the first 6 months of this year. Lee confirmed to CNN that the incident happened in October.
After another victim died from injuries sustained at Travis Scott's Astroworld concert last week, the death total is now 10. The latest victim, 9-year-old Urza Blount, passed away after the injuries he sustained from the concert, the family's attorney said at a news conference last Thursday. The concert, which took place at NRG Park in Houston, Texas, saw 9 other people, ages 14 to 27, die, and 25 more transported to hospitals. More than 300 people were treated throughout the event at an on-site hospital. While the lawsuits start to pour in against Scott and festival organizers, Houston Police Chief Troy Finner said they are conducting a criminal investigation with the involvement of the Homicide and Narcotics Division. And that's all tonight on PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PSN News.
Have a good night and stay safe, Penn State.